Thank you for joining us tonight. We're very excited to have you. And, okay, so I would like you to tell the viewers about your book, please, your UFO Highway.
Yeah, I have a book called UFO Highway. It's gotten a lot of publicity. I'm really excited about it. Came out about a year and a half ago. The website's UFOhighway.com. Norio Hayakawa, who's an Area 51 legend, wrote the foreword to the book, and he would not have agreed to do that unless he felt there was some validity behind the information in this book. So anyway, I'm really excited about it. And the premise of UFO Highway is that I interviewed this colonel in 2010, in January of 2010. And this colonel gave me information alluding to the fact that he worked at an underground facility in northern New Mexico, the Hickory Apache Reservation.
Anthony, can I ask you one question, please? Okay, I noticed on your website you referred to him as Colonel X. Is this person an unknown person?
Yeah, he's completely anonymous. He obviously, for obvious reasons, he can't have his name known.
Is he still in the military?
No. He retired from the military in 1983.
But he still has to stay secret about whatever it is that he talked about?
Absolutely, because of what he disclosed, which was the nature of the underground facility.
Okay, so let's go. What is this underground facility?
Well, in Dulce, New Mexico, supposedly there's an underground facility whereby the military, our military, is working in collusion with these greys, these entities.
Ha! I knew it! I've been talking about this. Okay. Go ahead.
In New Mexico, in the Hickory Apache Reservation, you guys know it. But anyway, supposedly, in 1938, there was a group from Muroc Army Airfield. They were referred to as the Muroc Expedition. And this group found a large cavernous entrance to the Archuleta Mesa, which is in northern New Mexico. And inside of the mesa, they encountered these entities, these beings. They referred to them as inhabitants. To this day, they still refer to them as inhabitants. And our government is working in collusion with them. There's a technology exchange program that's taking place under the umbrella of the Technological Commercialization Office out of Los Alamos. There's documentation that supports this. There's a company that I recently was made privy to that's called Hyperion Power Generation. Hyperion is this company that's headed by this powerful woman who supposedly is an alien human hybrid. Now here's what makes her interesting. She's extremely powerful, extremely wealthy, and in 2010 she was awarded a title by the Queen of England, Commander of the British Empire, for the work that she does in both the nuclear sector and the financial and the finance and banking sectors. So these are the types of people that are setting up shop right there in Los Alamos, New Mexico, for this technological exchange program. Her company in particular is developing liquid metal cooled 200 kilowatt micronuclear reactors. These are micronuclear reactors of the size of a VW Bug that can power an entire city for like a year. They're selling those to militaries around the globe right now at billions and billions of dollars in profit. Her company uses an Illuminati symbol, which is the phoenix, as their logo. For some reason, they just took that off of their website. I think we're making enough noise that they're starting to become aware of the work that I'm doing and several other researchers who are helping me to expose them. The technology that they possess comes from these grays right there in Dulce. I was given some blueprints of an underground facility in Mount Archuleta, which is west of the Archuleta Mesa. The mesa is separate from Mount Archuleta. Well, I know for a fact from a rancher whose family lived there for over 100 years, there's a massive underground facility there in Mount Archuleta that was built in the early 60s by Kirtland Air Force Base. He even has photographs of the air shafts at the top of the mountain that go directly, down into the facility. So far down that when they drop rocks in there, they don't ever hear them hit anything. So, I mean, they're definitely deep, deep underground military bases.
Now Anthony, so this information was given to you by this Colonel X?
Some of the information was given to me by Colonel X, yes.
So why you? I mean, I think we sorry I got so jump into it, but so how did you get started with all this?
I'm a senior level software engineer. I've worked in Silicon Valley for quite a while now, since 1994 professionally. In 2007, I was a senior level architect working in a engineering capacity for Intel Corporation right here in Folsom. I hope I don't get sued for saying that. But anyhow, I met an individual in 2007 who was interested in some of the work that I was doing. I had a server as part of the group that I was working for, my own personal server, and on that server I had a blog, and on the blog I discussed everything that I was interested in, which was UFOs, government conspiracy, human intervention theory, a whole, spectrum of different topics. Well, this one guy and I struck up a friendship. I always tell people this when I tell this story. He had a very high level of education, and in the capacity that he was working under, it just didn't make sense. He was doing a low-level technician's job, yet he had a master's and a doctorate in computer science. So for me, that stood out as just strange to begin with. Over time, though, I realized the guy was really humble, and I love that about him. He was a real humble guy, and he never made, he never bragged about his education or anything like that. So anyway, we worked for about 6 months, just over half a year. And one day I went to work, and the guy's gone. And I spoke to management. They said, we don't know. He's just not here. He left all his personal effects behind. The cell phone stopped working. Just completely disappeared off the face of the earth. And the last conversation that I had with him, he started bringing up questions about the military-industrial complex. What did I know? Did I have any information with regards to black budget projects and things of that nature? And, I did have some information because I've been researching UFOs since 1989. Area 51. I had already known who Noriel Hayakawa was. He's like the guy that pretty much outed the whole Area 51 story with respect to Bob Lazar, John Lear, George Knapp, all those guys. Noriel Hayakawa, he's a good friend of mine, by the way. So I did have some information, but nothing that made that guy really excited. But what he was excited about is that we had this common interest. So we discussed that a lot. And then, like I said, one day he was gone.
Wow. You mean he just disappeared?
Just disappeared. Never returned. All his personal effects.
I tell you. Oh my God! And they never found him?
Well, in 2008, at 1 o'clock in the morning in June, and I have a specific date. Actually, it was Friday the 13th in June 2008, about midnight, he calls me. And get this, when he worked with me, I thought he was English. He had an English accent. His name he had an anglicized name, and he pulled it off perfectly. When I talked to him in June, he revealed to me that he wasn't English. One, he was American. He dropped the English accent. He told me that the name that I knew him by, which was Richard, was not his name. He's now going by some other moniker. The conversation that night led me to drive 2 hours to the Bay from Rockland, California, where I was living at the time. I ended up driving 2 hours to Moffett Field, which is in Mountain View, California. And he only gave me GPS coordinates. He did not give me an address. So using the GPS coordinates, I went to Google Maps, figured out that I was supposed to meet him outside of an abandoned McDonald's in Moffett Field.
Oh my God.
So I get there, and he ends up telling me everything with respects to the project that he was working on at Lockheed Martin. And the book that I have coming out called Project Leonid. Leonid it's an acronym. It's not a name. It's an acronym. It stands for Low Earth Orbit Nanosatellite Interceptor Defense. That project he worked on was a joint project between Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Hitachi Ltd. out of Japan. They were working under the Department of Defense, and intent.
Okay, just 1 second, Anthony. What is the name of that project again?
Leonie.
Okay, we are going to be doing a show in July.
Oh.
That's your new book that's coming out, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in July we will be doing a show on that project.
Awesome.
Okay, so go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so this is the guy that got me in contact with the Colonel. This is the guy. So in 2010, I get a phone call, and I'm told that there's an individual that wants to speak to me. He's an older gentleman. I end up talking with him on the phone. After we have this exchange, we progress to the next step, which is I meet him at his office. He was is a professor here at a university right here in the Sacramento area. And people can go ahead and try and guess at what university he worked at. I'm not going to divulge it. Which institution he was at, whether it was public, whether it was private. However, I ended up meeting with him for about an hour and a half. It wasn't a long meeting. During our face-to-face conversation was when I realized this guy is for real. This is the real deal. This guy's not lying. He's not making up this story. There was enough information presented to me to make me fully believe that he was under this new persona, this new identity. He claimed to have even changed his facial appearance. He did not start his family until after he had retired from the military. So he went to great lengths to cover up everything about his life prior to 1983. So we arranged this interview at a cabin, his cabin, I'll say within 20 miles of the Auburn, California area. I can't say where specifically. So I ended up meeting with him at his cabin. We record this unbelievable interview whereby he told me everything. The book UFO Highway, it took on a life of its own because of the Dulce interview, which is what I call the interview with Colonel X. When I was writing UFO Highway initially, it was about Area 51, human origins, and the Heart Blooming Project. It had nothing to do with Dulce. I'm telling you guys, I never bought into the fact that there was a facility in Dulce, New Mexico. Because there was all these outlandish stories going about that there was these reptilian aliens, abducting women and having sex with them and doing all these strange things, and everything was happening there in Dulce. I never bought into those stories. I didn't trust the individuals behind them. One of them was Bruce Allen Walton, also known as Branton, who today, I hear, is in a federal prison for child molestation. The other, I don't want to give away the other guy's name because I actually befriended him at one time, and it would be insulting to put him on the spot. But even his story, I'm not buying his story either. So, the Colonel is the only person who I believe has credible information with regards to Dulce, New Mexico. I'm going to tell you why.
How did you meet up with this Colonel? Did he contact you or did you find him?
In 2010, the guy that I told you about from the company that I worked at, the one that I met in Martinsville, after we had a relationship for nearly 2 years, he trusted me enough to put me in contact, put the Colonel in contact with me. I guess he had shared some of the work that I had done on my human origins theory with the Colonel, and the Colonel, that was enough to make him interested enough to want to talk with me. Because some of the work that I did correlates with some of the information that he discovered coming out of Dulce. See, remember how I mentioned that there was these Greys that worked there at Dulce?
Right.
Supposedly they've been there for 25,000 years.
So they came from someplace else and then they...
No, they didn't come from someplace else.
They're from here?
They were created here on planet Earth.
They were created?
They were created here. So if you ever heard of a man named Zechariah Sitchin?
No.
Okay, Zechariah Sitchin, I know you guys are on the paranormal side of things. On the ufology side of things, there's a very famous individual by the name of Zechariah Sitchin who did a lot of research into the area known as Mesopotamia, which is between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. That's modern-day Iraq. Well, 8,000 years ago, that was called Sumer. We called them the ancient Sumerians.
Right.
The Sumerians are a special culture because they represent the first known culture in humanity's history that developed a writing system, that developed city structure, agricultural, correlations between the biblical writing and the ancient Sumerian writings. And when you compare them, it's just unbelievable. For instance, let's take a look at, just let me really quickly give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I don't want to take too much time on this, but I want to give you an idea of how closely related the Bible is to these earlier stories, right? So, for instance, in the Sumerian list of kings and gods, under demigods, there was a god called Tammuz, also known as Dumuzi. They referred to him as the true God, the shepherd God, the life, death, rebirth, resurrection, deity. Well, in the Bible, Jesus of Nazareth is the only begotten Son of God, the shepherd king, and he was resurrected. You see the correlation? You see how this one matches up exactly to that one? Well, you're thinking, okay, well, these Anunnaki, these are crazy people. What the hell are they talking about? Well, Tammuz, this guy that I was telling you about from the Sumerian list of kings and gods, well, guess what, ladies? He's actually mentioned in the Bible. He's actually mentioned in the Bible. There's actually a passage there in the Bible that mentions him. So, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz, Dumuzi, Ezekiel 8:14. So there it is, Tammuz, and Anunnaki in the Bible. So that's how I'm able to take these writings from the ancient Sumerians and correlate them with stories that are in the Bible. So remember how I mentioned the Enuma Elish that talks about the deluge? Well, that talks about a guy named Gilgamesh. Well, Gilgamesh is exactly the same person that we know of in the Bible, whose name is Noah. Noah and the ark. You know that whole story, right?
Right.
So in the Sumerian Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh, a great flood is commanded by God. It's known as Enlil in the Anunnaki world. There's the creation of an ark. 2 of all animals are saved. They release doves, a raven, and a swallow to find land. The ark passengers are family and several others. Our hero in the story performs a sacrifice after the flood, and they're blessed after the flood. Well, that's in the Sumerian Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh. Well, in the Bible, in the flood story of Noah, a great flood is commanded by God, Yahweh. There's a creation of an ark. 2 of all animals are saved. They release doves and a raven to find land. Our passengers and family, Noah, our hero, performs a sacrifice after the flood, and they're blessed after the flood. And that's what I refer to in my book as the first parallel flood. The concept of a great flood is common throughout the ancient world, with hundreds of similar stories appearing at different time periods around the world. Here, we just examined two of them, the Sumerian Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh and the biblical story of Noah. So again, these people that existed 8,000 years ago in the past, the Sumerians who talked about their gods, the Anunnaki, who come from outer space, right?
Right.
They're telling us the same exact stories that we hear much later in the biblical sense.
So let's stop for a second because you just gave us a ton of information. So
Why did I bring all that up?
No, first what? Okay, so what you're saying is that the first groups, the Sumerians.
Yep.
And then are you saying then the Sumerians, they did their book, and then the Bible came, and we're talking about a God up in heaven, angels, all these stories. So are you saying that this goes into that aliens are actually God in all of this?
What I'm saying is that in 1938, the military found a group of beings that were living in northern New Mexico in this deep cavernous structure underneath what we know as the Archuleta Mesa. When they went in there in 1938, they found, not only did they find these alien-looking creatures, but they found these historical archives of theirs, of these aliens. They referred to them as the Great Archaeological Tablets. In those tablets, guess what they found? They found a writing system which was highly reminiscent, yet way more advanced, but still reminiscent of what we know as ancient Akkadian cuneiform. So you see the connection there? These aliens that were in New Mexico used a writing system that way on the other side of the planet, 8,000 years ago, the Sumerians were using.
Okay.
Now, these the ancient artifacts that were discovered there in Sumer, the Ajiji don't look human. They're small, have big heads, big eyes, and what does that sound like to you?
The grave.
Like a grave. And a lot of people have theorized that the Ajiji are the graves. So that's who's there in New Mexico. Now, what I learned was that they were placed there on purpose by the descendants of the Anunnaki. These are these alien-human hybrids. These are people that have a genetic marker that identifies them as direct descendants of these earliest intermarried groups of aliens, what they refer to as progenitors, and modern human. So 250,000 years ago to 300,000 years ago, according to these graves, they say that their masters, their gods, the progenitors, who we believe are the Anunnaki that the Sumerians talk about, they say that they took the earliest messages of humanity, this primitive hominid, and they genetically altered them so that their evolutionary phases began to accelerate and their intelligence began to augment very, very, very quickly, rapidly. Why? So that they could serve these alien human hybrids, these Anunnakis, and these Ajijis. These Ajijis were essentially meant to be project managers of the humans. See, because prior to that, we were just stupid monkeys, according to them. Now, I know I'm just painting it kind of, blandly or whatever, broadly, but they claimed that we were not intelligent enough to serve them in the ways that they wanted. So, the Ajiji were actually demigods, a lower demigod, because they were created by these gods of theirs, the progenitors, the Anunnaki. They created the Ajiji. The Ajiji were meant to serve them. Well, the Ajiji were highly intelligent and even posed a threat to their creators, these Anunnaki. So they came to an accord, okay, let's make these hominids a bit more intelligent, upright, and able to serve us in the way that we want. So they took humans, they genetically modified them.
So, okay, wait, what did humans look like back then? Were they monkeys?
No, they were not monkeys.
Okay.
So hominid is a relative of an ape. So if you look at the fossil record, you're not going to find any evidence beyond 300,000 years of anybody that looks like us. You're just not going to find it. Every single fossil record that is within academia shows something else, whether it be Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon or just not us. They don't look like us. They look like really, ape-like. They look really ape-like. They're more ape-like than they are human-like.
Okay.
Homo sapien. We're Homo sapien. We look more refined. We look more, much more refined than all of our, hominid cousins. These are different species. Some of them, like Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal, they're not Homo sapien. They're completely different species. Anyhow. So they claimed that. They claimed that 250,000 to 300,000 years ago, their gods, their masters, the Anunnaki, took humans, made us into something that they could interbreed with because they were dying. So us being able to interbreed with them meant that they could, continue to live here on Earth. Successive generations, lineages of these alien human hybrids who exist among us today.
So we're aliens then?
Well, we're not aliens. No, we're genetically altered. We're genetically modified so that we're smarter, we're upright, we're now able to do things. Just look at the last 100 years, ladies. Look at the last 100 years. 100 years ago, we were in cart and buggies with horses, right?
Right.
Today, the three of us are on the live stream, manipulating lights, manipulating electricity, manipulating, we now know how to manipulate down to the atomic level. We've gotten too dangerous for these creators. Jay Weidner talks about a group called the Archons, crypto-terrestrials. In 1947 in Egypt, they found these writings called the Nag Hammadi codices. These are leather-bound papyrus paper books. These were the first books you heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls, right?
Yeah.
The Dead Sea Scrolls, they have the Book of Enoch, the Book of Giants, they have the Gospel of Thomas. Well, all of those Gospels were also in these non-Hammadi codices. They believed that there was a nearby monastery there in Egypt, this thousands of years ago, secretly hid these books because they were afraid. Well, not thousands of, maybe I think the non-Hammadi codices were written probably, I don't know, somewhere around 1,000 years ago, or just less than 1,000 years ago. Which still goes to show that there were groups, talking about different stories within Christendom, right? So the Council of Nicaea and various other councils, ordered by, the church, were told to seek out any of these non-canonical writings and to destroy them. Why did they want to destroy them? Because in these writings, they talk about the fallen ones. They talk about the Watchers. They talk about the Nephilim. They talk about, the fact that these Nephilim are the offspring of the daughters of man and the sons of God. And what does that sound like? That sounds exactly like the Anunnaki having sex with modern human. That's genetically.
Okay, wait a minute, Anthony. I don't know anything really about aliens because nobody's ever, even those that have been abducted from aliens, do they know how they have sex? Do they have organs like we have organs? Because from the descriptions and the drawings that people have done on aliens, they don't look anything like us. And I don't even know if that's their skin without clothing or if they're wearing spacesuits or whatever. Nobody's ever really explained that. So how can they have sex? How can they be compatible enough for a human to have a baby by an alien? And if they did have babies by these aliens, what would they look like? They wouldn't all look human, would they? Wouldn't they have some of the traits of an alien?
Well, apparently, we share a very, very similar genetic code to these Anunnaki. That's the reason why they came to our solar system to begin with. That's one of the reasons why, we share a same biological, close.
So then aren't we, okay, I was told before by somebody else that we are actually an alien. We are actually aliens, but we're on a different level.
Yeah, it gets very complex. I don't know if we're alien, but I do know that based on the facts that I've uncovered and many other researchers prior to me have uncovered, that there's definitely evidence showing, that we were genetically modified, that we were genetically, for instance, if you look at some of the facts, just from a pure physiological perspective and a biological perspective, they keep telling us that we're exactly, we're pretty damn near identical to the chimpanzee genetically. Right. At one point they said, our genetic code to the chimpanzee is 98% identical. But we know that that's a lie. It's less than 70%. And in my book, I actually show evidence for that.
Anthony.
The chimpanzee has 250 known genetic defects in their makeup, right? Humans have 6,000 genetic defects in their genome.
What does that mean?
6,000 as opposed to 250.
What does that mean, defect?
For instance, a defect meaning like we have a defect that makes it possible for humans to have like a blood disorder,
okay.
like thalassemia or sickle thalassemia.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So the chimpanzees, why do the chimpanzees only have 250? Well, because they haven't been they've been left alone. Nobody intervened with their genetic structure and messed up, their genome. But somebody messed with ours. But they even identified the exact genetic markers within our body, telling us exactly where they messed with us. It's right here in my book.
Wow.
It's right here, and it shows that that we've been messed with. Now, here's the thing I want to share with you. You know how they keep saying 250,000 years ago that that we, somewhat we emerged upright and highly intelligent from Africa. That comes from the mitochondrial Eve theory. Looking at the human genome, looking at the mitochondrial DNA, which is the female DNA, from the maternal side of things, they were able to determine that yes, humans automatically appeared upright and intelligent and emerged from Africa between 250 to 300,000 years ago. Remember I was telling you about the fossil record? Why can't they find any fossilized evidence of modern-looking humans like us beyond 300,000 years ago? Because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Okay, so they altered us. Why?
To serve the Anunnaki, to serve the Ajiji.
Oh, so we're like slaves?
Yeah, we're slaves. We've been bred to essentially mine gold, mine silver, provide agriculture, build cities, build pyramids, build everything.
But the aliens came to our country years and years ago to pull out the gold and the silver.
Well,
no, we were the ones who did it.
No, the aliens did.
About gold.
We were the ones who did it.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this experiment or not, but if you were, I've actually seen this on YouTube somewhere. If you were to take a toddler and put a $100 bill in front of them, a silver coin in front of them, and a gold coin in front of them, what do you think the child's going to gravitate towards?
Silver. Gold.
Gold.
Really? It's shiny.
Yeah, a child instinctively gravitates towards gold. What makes a child compelled to, and they even had a toy there. They even put a toy in front of the child. But the child gravitated towards the gold 9 out of 10 times. And so I think instinctively, genetically, we've been bred to seek out gold. I mean, man kills man for gold. So,
That's true.
man doesn't kill man for a currency that's worthless in some countries. Yeah, the dollar might be the almighty dollar right now, but in 10 years from now, when it isn't worth shit because of China and all these other economic factors, you think anyone's going to kill anybody for $1 that can't buy you a loaf of bread? Or $1,000 that can't buy you a loaf of bread? No, but they will kill you for an ounce of gold. Right now, an ounce of gold is what, $1,600, $1,700 a troy ounce of gold?
Yeah.
Hell, there may come a day when copper bullion is worth something.
Well, copper is worth money. Copper is worth money.
People are still in copper every
Yes.
day. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
So, have you ever talked to anybody that has been abducted by an alien? Are they considered aliens or greys?
Okay, so the Greys were created here on this planet by the Anunnaki, but they were created using genetic source material that is off-world, meaning it came with them from their other planet. That's why the Greys have to live underground. Their outer epidermis, which is their skin, can't cope with the sun's rays. That's why they abduct people
At night.
at night. And Travis Walton, you ever heard that movie Fire in the Sky?
Yes.
I spoke with Travis Walton in Taos, New Mexico this past November when I was there at length. The guy's a really nice guy, by the way. The movie that they made about him was all bullshit. He even said, if you read his book, Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton experience, you're going to find that much of what he says correlates to Dulce, New Mexico. He was abducted by Greys, and the Greys took him inside of a mountain where they were working alongside humans. That's Dulce, New Mexico.
So they took him they took him in the cave, not up in a UFO.
No, they took him in a UFO. They abducted him and they took him in a UFO. But I think they took him to Mount Archuleta, which is still right there in Dulce, New Mexico. Not Archuleta Mesa. I think they actually took him to the facility of Mount Archuleta based on how he describes it.
And what did they do to him? Does he remember what they did to him?
Yeah, it's in his book. He talks about it at length. In the movie, they show all this Hollywood stuff where they're like anal probing him and raping him and doing all these things, and but in reality, I don't think that's what happened. It was more psychological what they did to him as opposed to the physical aspect. I mean, anyway. So, but you asked, did I ever meet anyone that was abducted? Well, Travis Walton was
people that you have talked to that have been abducted from an alien, do they all give the same description of the alien, or do they give different descriptions?
I've met some people that have claimed to have been targeted by reptilians, like these 8-foot tall, human-looking, but with this scaly outer, epidermis, like a reptile with these huge, gigantic penises, and they rape them repeatedly, kind of thing.
Oh my God! I never heard that.
So I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just telling you.
Oh my God!
I got a book right behind me where D. Gregg writes at length about these stories. I mean, this is the real deal. This is real. So, anyhow. Give me a second.
So why do they keep grabbing humans then? What are they doing?
Well, I mean, they like having sex with humans. But no, there's a more calculated reason for that. The Greys, well, there's an alien-human hybrid group called the Australbus. Some people call them descendants of the Anunnaki. Some people call them these Illuminati bloodlines, They make up this New World Order structure, like your Bilderbergs and your Rockefellers and your Rothschilds and all the people that are put into positions of power on the Trilateral Commission or at the UN or whatever. These are people who have a ticket in because of a genetic marker in their genome, both in their genome and in their blood, that says, hey, I'm a descendant of an Anunnaki, don't mess with me, I get what I want, kind of thing. Not all people with that genetic marker have that luxury, but there are some people that are close enough to those bloodlines, going back through time, they never strayed away, because there are some groups that have strayed away, even though they have, this genetic marker, they're no longer affiliated with the elites, but there are these elites. Hell, even in China there's an elite. There's a connection. There's Li Ka-shing, who's the richest man in all of Asia, is a known blood relative of David Rockefeller. This guy's Chinese. This guy is an Anglican American, yet they're related. They're blood related. How is that possible? Because they're both descendants of this ancient lineage, which is why they're both mega wealthy. They're super elitist. In China, it was just revealed that, and I broke this story a week before the Associated Press broke the story. There was 3,500 miles of underground, magnetically shielded tunnels and facilities that have been built. Yes, part of it is for the military there in China, but you have luxurious facilities built not for the military, underground. They're built for the elite in case something happens. Why are they magnetically shielded? Some people are speculating that the governments around the world, particularly the Chinese government, the United States government, the Israelis, the English, and all of them, anyway, they know that some huge event is coming, whether it's a coronal mass ejection that's going to wipe out everybody that's on the surface, or if it's, as some people speculate, that at the end of 2012, at the beginning of 2013, it's possible that there could be some false flag event. False flag event meaning the government is going to put on a light show. They're going to use HARP technology and Project Blooming as a means to trick all of us into thinking that the world is being invaded by aliens. So, I don't know. There's just a whole bunch of...
Why would they do that?
So that they can control everybody. So that they can begin their human depopulation campaign.
Yes.
Have you guys ever heard of the Georgia Guidestones?
No.
The Georgia Guidestones were put in place by some very, very wealthy, person, anonymously, and on them, it's like every major language in the world, the most popular, the most frequently spoken languages in the world, it's inscribed there. And, what this New World Order wants for the future. And one of the first things they talk about is we need to bring the world's population down to a healthy 500 million, and no more.
So what does that mean? I mean, it sounds obvious, but what does that mean?
There's 7 billion of us right now.
Right.
So So that's 6.5 billion people that are going to meet their demise if this New World Order group gets their way. So who are these people? Well, like I'm telling you, there's a lot of evidence that shows that these are the descendants of these Anunnaki. They're getting sick and tired of this. They don't like the fact that we're become super intelligent, super capable.
But aren't aliens super intelligent? Aren't they smarter than us?
They're smarter than us to some extent. We're very intelligent now.
But the thing is, okay, what I can't figure out is how come these...
There's too many of us, Marie. There's too many of us.
Right.
But okay.
And as far as they're concerned, there's too many of us, they're saying. It's not us, it's them.
That's right.
So they're making the decisions on who should stay and who should go.
That's right.
And then we're leading up to then we have the concentration camps all over the place in America.
The FEMA camps. The FEMA camps.
Yeah.
And last Friday, if you didn't notice, last Friday at 6:30 p.m., Barack Obama put out this nice little executive order, which is talking about a mandatory draft, talking about how the government can take over all of the agriculture industry, how the government has the right to incarcerate anybody they want in temporary, internment camps. Well, the last time we had internment camps, the Japanese Americans, right here in fucking California, Americans, people who have been here for over 100 years, some of them who didn't even speak Japanese anymore, played baseball, went to high school, had girlfriends that weren't of Japanese extraction, they were interned. Their houses were taken, their businesses were taken. They didn't even know who their relatives in Japan were anymore, but we didn't trust them. And the government came in and did what the hell they wanted to do with those people, and it destroyed their lives. But, thankfully, a lot of them were resilient, came through it like champs, and are some of our top people today in our society. So.
But Anthony, okay, what I don't understand is the flying saucers, how they come in and they go out and they come in and go out. But we can't do that. How come they can do that?
There's spacecraft technology, think about this. This is one of the things I like to point out to people. Dulce, New Mexico represent a very special area within the Southwest because it's surrounded by naval airfield, Air Force installations, naval air installations. They literally surround the Dulce Reservation and all the 4 different states that are there. And what you're seeing in Dulce quite a bit is experimental aircraft. Some of it that uses alien technology that's been given to us by the Greys. The stealth technology, the stealth planes today, all of that was devised right there in Dulce, New Mexico. In 1995, there was a guy by the name of Phil Schneider. Phil Schneider went onto the lecture circuit, and he said that he used to work at the Dulce facility, that in 1979, he had escaped from the Dulce facility during this altercation that happened between the Greys and the Black Ops, and there was a firefight that happened there in 1979. That's true. That did happen there. I know, because the colonel was sent there when that happened. That's how the colonel ended up there in 1979. Phil Schneider went into the lecture circuit, and just shortly after, he began showing people the special geological samples of these rocks that made up the basis for the stealth technology, all the plating and the shielding of these, like the stealth B-2 bomber, the F-117, all these planes. They found him in his apartment, strangled to death, with his own catheter. Yet he only had one hand. There was thousands of dollars in cash that he had in his safe. There was a very expensive watch. There was a loaded gun. Everything that you think a thief would want to take, right? No. The only things that were missing from Phil Schneider's possession upon his demise were his lecture paperwork, all the paperwork that he showed his lecture, photographs that his father, Otto Schneider, had given to him of UFOs that were right there at the Bikini Atoll when they blasted, these nuclear bombs, and all the geological samples that he had from Dulce. Anything that he had from Dulce, it was gone. But money, a watch, a loaded gun, that was all left behind. So he was found. His wife, his ex-wife, and his daughter are still around. They're still around. talk about it too much, but when they do, they'll tell you. They'll tell you exactly what happened. The fact that, the guy was killed. He was brutally murdered.
So are these aliens still living underground in those caves?
In Dulce they are, and they're also at the Cabazon Black Hut Reservation here in California. They're also at the Pine Gap facility in Alice Springs in Australia. Yeah, they're quite prevalent around the globe.
And so other people have seen them?
Lots of people have seen them.
But they're not the problem, right? I mean, they're just kind of lackeys.
Not all of the Greys are benign. Some of them are malevolent. Some of them are working with this new world order, this Illuminati structure. And that's one thing that I learned from one of my sources who told me that there are groups of these, and it's completely out of our control. Some of the Greys live right there in Dulce. There are different political factions within their own structure, their own social structure, that end up working with the bad guys, and there's nothing we can do about it.
See, I don't believe that. I really think that the reason we can't do anything is because nobody knows anything yet, and nobody's listening. But the more people know, and the more that they start waking up, that's it. It's the masses that can do something. So I don't believe that there is nothing we can do.
Yeah.
So what I want to stop at this point because we have a lot of questions for you, and then so we're gonna let people ask some questions, and then we're gonna continue with this because I want to talk about the Illuminati.
Tell us.
So we're gonna have our wonderful tech guy.
Oh yeah, we have our tech with us tonight, Carlos Perez.
Awesome. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna look. So please type your questions out in chat, and then he's going to tell us. And then we'll start getting some of the questions out. We can't do all of them because I think we have a ton of them, but we're gonna get some out. So go ahead and start writing. I know it takes a little bit.
People are probably freaking out about me wearing my sunglasses tonight.
Are you incognito?
No, I'm not incognito. I'm having a bad eye day.
Oh, okay.
Analysis. And the last time I was on live stream with Jay Widener and Karen Cassidy, I got so many freaking emails from people. I was like, I don't want to go through that again.
Okay, we got Ruth. What are his thoughts on doppelgangers, and could they be created aliens?
So what are your thoughts on doppelgangers, and could they be created aliens from Ruth?
I really don't have an opinion on it one way, but I mean, I guess it's possible.
Okay.
Okay, we got Andrew asking, can Anthony expound on the Ashtar Command and the Galactic Federation of Light?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I think he's talking about Tolek. So if you know anything about a guy named Alfred Weber deals with somebody by the name of Tolek. I think that's what he's talking about. And Tolek is espousing this information about how they're destroying these underground bases that are manned by reptilians. I really don't know too much about that, but the information that I have tells me that there are a lot of underground bases that still exist, that are still in operation, so I don't know, and I don't fully understand the information that Tolek is providing. Maybe accurate, but I just don't know.
Okay.
Okay, Devin is asking, if the aliens are running things, why have they let us overbreed according to the Georgia Guides films?
Well, it kind of got out of control, and there's nothing that they can do about it. I mean, the human population is so pervasive around the planet. They think of us as a virus. They also think of us as a parasite. We're like this parasitic force on the planet. But now they want to do something about it. And they're getting prepared to do something about it. They're openly talking about a human depopulation campaign. So that's what I have to say on that.
Yeah.
Okay, Winnie Love is asking, to replicate themselves according to the universal will and choices within their DNA and sixtensing.
Did you understand that?
No, sorry, that's a little bit above my head.
Sorry, Can you rewrite that? We see it's a bit high vibrational. So could you bring it more down to earth, please? Next question.
Okay, Mr. President, has Anthony recovered from the illness he acquired during the investigation?
What they're talking about is in October, I went to Dulce, New Mexico, and I did some research up there. And when I was there, I came down with something. I was actually given a nanofraction of this toxic cocktail, and it paralyzed me from my left shoulder up to the left side of my head, my face, the whole area. It's not Bell's palsy. I don't have Bell's palsy. And they actually found something that appears to be like an implant or something in my head on the left here, about 2 inches in on the left. It's up against the mastoid. It's a weird thing. And also, I was in tremendous pain. I mean, there's a whole bunch of information on that. I've since recovered from the pain. I no longer have pain. However, I'm still succumbing to the paralysis. Only about, I guess, 3 weeks ago, a little over 3 weeks ago, maybe months ago, I don't know. I don't even remember now. I started getting movement on the left side of my face. So,
so you went there and you were tested on or something? I mean, I don't.
No. I was
willingly?
No, I wasn't tested on. We found illegally placed government property, U.S. government property, up on the top of the Archuleta Mesa. This is equipment. These are shipping containers, massive steel-grade, military-grade shipping containers for F-5 jet engines.
Okay.
What the hell are they doing in the middle of nowhere on the top of the Archuleta Mesa, which technically is not the United States? It's a sovereign country. It's the Jicarilla Apache Nation. It's their country. So, back in 2010, when I was doing my research on Dulce, I called up the Bureau of Indian Affairs and I asked them, is there any military presence there in Dulce, New Mexico, or in Rima County? And the lady, her name was Sherry Vigil, she's the one that works at the Bureau of Indian Affairs, she told me, not since the cavalry was last here has there been a United States military presence. No recruiting offices, no outposts, no stations, no bases, nothing. So why did I find U.S. military equipment up there on top of the mesa?
Yeah.
Well, that night, I started to become disoriented. My equilibrium was completely off, and I was in tremendous pain. The next day, I thought I had gotten better. I went and had breakfast at this restaurant, and right there at the Best Western Jicarilla, and I had this strange encounter with this woman who technically doesn't work there. I've since found out that the person that helped me does not work at that facility. I believe that she gave me something. The next day, I was in so much pain, I literally felt like I had liquid on the inside of my head. To the touch, I was sensitive to the touch. By that evening, I was being rushed to the emergency room. I had succumbed to full-blown paralysis on the left side. Everybody there in town saw me. They saw it as it was happening. And there was hundreds of people there that saw this. I'm not joking about it. You can ask Janet Saylor, the woman who threw the event. This is a real thing that happened. This is why I'm wearing sunglasses tonight. I have paralysis on the left side of my face. The only way I can close my left eyes is if I close them together. Otherwise, when I blink, you can see in the camera, I can't blink. I can't smile. I just started getting movement back. Thank God, because my little girl, she's beautiful. She's 5 years old. She noticed that I kind of moved my face on the left, and she was so excited because she said, "Daddy, you're going to smile again. You're going to smile again." I'm like, "I hope so, honey."
So was this a warning for you?
I was contacted by this guy in Australia, this Australian operative, intelligence operative, who told me that I'm exhibiting symptoms of a failed assassination attempt. He says that it appears like I have symptoms of a failed attempt of this concoction that is common in their intelligence circles to kill people quickly and silently, which is like half of this. It's half pufferfish poison, which is called tetrahontidae, and curare, which is a South American plant plant toxin.
Right.
So those combined, just a small, minute nanofraction is enough to kill a person. But what they didn't know is that, and I guess I'm over 6 feet, 6'3", I'm a big dude. I guess it wasn't enough to kill me.
Wow. Wow. Okay, do we have another question? Okay, so my question to you then after all of this is, why are you walking around? Why are you not gone? Because that's the big thing, is to make people disappear who start talking the truth.
A friend of mine, a guy that I met through Facebook in 2010, he wrote a book called Beyond 2012 and Beyond. His name is Drew Ryan Maris. Well, they killed him. They set him up and they killed him.
I think I heard about that.
Just a couple of months ago, they killed an elderly couple. Then they framed him for killing that elderly couple. There was no motive. There was no theft. Nothing. He had a beautiful book. He was a young, good-looking guy. He was up and coming within the ufology circle. He was doing radio shows, podcasts. All of a sudden, they start referring to him as a serial killer because he killed this couple. The very next day, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department responds to a false burglar alarm. And, who happens to be in the parking lot of the facility? Drew was there. Drew was there with his little dog. He had a little pit bull dog, and he was traveling at the time, and he had like a little minivan, a gold minivan. Well, Drew supposedly shot the sheriff 29 times, and the other sheriff shot him some number of times. Everybody ended up killing one another. Well, here's what's interesting about the Drew Ryan Maris story. Everybody that saw the couple, the elderly couple, before they were dead and after they were dead, saw that there was a half-ton white pickup truck there with the couple. Drew drives a gold minivan and he has his dog with him. So, it just doesn't add up. I was doing research on that story. I wrote an article for Intrepid Magazine. When that came out, I had added an addendum to it online, to Facebook. Well, I received a very credible death threat from that. And one of my partners who was working with me also received a credible death threat. So we kind of backed away from that story. We just backed away from it. But it is what it is. They know what they did. Drew's dead. That couple's dead. The sheriff's deputy, he's dead. He was a father with children. Everybody got clusterfucked in this one. It's just horrible.
Is your life endangered? Or do you see people following you or sitting out in front with trucks?
I did. When I first started with this whole Dulce thing, I did. They tried to run me off the road twice. Once on I-80, one on the Highway 65. I've had a couple visits from the Office of Special Investigations from Bill Air Force Base. At least that's what they said that they were. They were threatening. Somebody broke into my house and stole a hard drive, a very, very critical research hard drive. I've been threatened.
Wow. Do you think your phones are being tapped?
In this room that I'm sitting in right now, a couple months ago, there's a window. You can't see it, but behind my computer there's a window. Some guy, fucking one of those things that that goes up, to like Windows cleaners.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Two of them were installing something on top of my house.
Oh my God! And you saw them do that?
I videotaped them. I had photographs and video. And I'm not being racist or whatever here, but normally the people that do work here around my house are Mexican, from Mexico. They're day laborers. These guys were clean-cut guys wearing Air Force issued sand-colored, military boots. Oh, but they had jeans on. They had a University of Michigan sweater. The other one had a UC Davis sweater or whatever. Bullshit. They were Air Force. They were definitely from real Air Force Base. I'm not stupid.
Did you find what the object was that they were putting on your house?
Never been able to identify it. Never been able to identify what it was. I had a couple of people go up there. They said, we can't